Yo, what's up, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube? Today, oh man, it is a range of things that inspired me to start this topic. All right, so first it was like I whenever I'm not studying something, I go on to TikTok and I look for different topics to discuss. And so, like one thing that my stream has been, or that my feed has been flooded with, is the topic of Nikenji Jackson. Now, Nikenji Jackson, I guess, is a judge who is trying to be, I guess, put onto the highest court in the land. And man, I'm the what really bothered me and what pushed me to do this live. I was gonna wait, but what really pushed me to do this live is that everybody keeps saying that the Republicans are treating her wrong. The Republicans are treating this woman named Nikenji Jackson, who's a judge, and they're not really looking at her policies or what she stood by. And they'll say, oh, well, she's not a policymaker. She's not this, she's not that. But what we don't really acknowledge is that this woman, Nikenji Jackson, will be in a position to where the different laws that are in place can be overturned or distinguished. Excuse me. Now, guys, I have to say, please like, subscribe, share this. This is an open discussion. If you're on TikTok, guys, I will leave it open to come onto YouTube. I'm going to share the link. And if you're on Facebook, hey, I got, for whatever reason, they shut down my live on Facebook. So if you're seeing this on Facebook live and you want to join the conversation, go over to my YouTube. I think that it's going to, let me see, I'm going to invite, if you can even come on, if someone can put this link, if you're on my TikTok and my YouTube, I'm going to share this link onto the YouTube. Just give me a second so I can go to the comments. And I just want to thank everybody for joining me right now. We're going to be talking about Nikenji Jackson. If you and about voting, guys, because I in some ways I feel that it's important to vote, and in other ways I start feeling like it doesn't really matter. So I want to know what you guys think. Let's have a meeting of the minds so that we can come to a profitable conclusion and actually be able to better ourselves and better who we can get into office. Because we can't complain about this woman, Nikenji Jackson, or anybody that Biden brings in without actually having somebody else to put in that place. So if you can hear me clearly on TikTok, if you can please leave it in the comments. I want to make sure that everybody can hear me. If you can hear me clearly on Facebook and YouTube, please leave it in the comments. That way I can continue and there'll be no issues. Once again, thank you all for joining me, and let's get ready to have this conversation. So as I was saying, guys, like I've been seeing a lot of my people, and this is what's really inspiring this conversation. I'm seeing a lot of my people. All right, good. Thank you, Miss Help Me, for helping me out to let me know that it's clear on this side. And if you're on YouTube, or awesome, thank you, CKQ Podcast. Thank you, man. Good to see you. All right, so what really inspired this conversation is I keep seeing my people, which are African American, Black, whatever you want to call us, arguing and talking about how this is a come up for us. And I really beg to differ, man. It's really an extremist leftist type mindset, and it's almost belittling to us. It's an insult for this to happen. Now, why do I say it's an insult? It's an insult for the Biden administration, who has been actively against people of color, to say, hey, I'm putting this woman in office. I'm going to put her in this high office because she is Black. What do you guys think about that? If you want to come onto the live and discuss it, if you're on TikTok, if you're on Facebook, you can. I have my YouTube is Law Library audiobooks and discussions. You can find me easily if you want to join in this conversation and provide some type of helpful information, or even respond to the questions. That'll be awesome. I'm sure everybody should be able to hear you, unless I have some type of technical difficulties. If you're on Facebook, they took me off of live last time because of, they say, maybe like 7 seconds of copyrighted information. I disputed it, and then they cleared it up, but it wasn't live. People couldn't join me live. So, what do you guys think? Is it a smart decision, or is it any type of come up for an administration to bring you in just because you are black, or just because you are white, or just because you are a woman? Do you work hard at your job and try to come up in your job and then feel okay if they say, hey, we see that you're doing an excellent job, but we also see that you're black. So what we're going to do, we don't have any black people in this area, or we don't have any black women, or we don't have any black men in this position. So what we're going to do is we're going to put you in this position because, we got to fill a quota. No, I would feel insulted. All the different things that I've done, or different places that I've gone, and I've gotten acknowledgement, they never was like, oh, you know what, you're a pretty good black man. It sounds like we're going back to when, maybe like 30, 40 years ago, when we needed help. I hate the idea of the CRT shit because it brings us lower. It brings us down to where we got to feel like we can only be in this position, or we can only achieve things by the consent of master. No, it's not true. But what we're doing is we're pushing the idea of this Nikenji Jackson thing, and we don't even know what her thoughts are on the topic, or what's being brought out, whether it be these different Republicans that are asking her hard questions. Like, we're just, they're being mean, they're being racist, they're being XYZ. Feel free, guys. Like I said, I put the link. If you're on my TikTok, Facebook, or YouTube, I just put the link on YouTube and Facebook, I think, on my fan page on Facebook. But if you could please share it, join the conversation, this would be a pretty good one. At least I think. Now, one thing I wanted to hit on is especially about the discussion of voting. Whether it be to vote someone in as a governor, or as a senator, or as a part of the Senate, or the House of Representatives, or president. Like, there's a lot of different things that I wanted to discuss, because many of us will go to the extent of saying, I'd rather vote for the less of two evils. And the reason why we're in this shit show of a place that we're in right now, as far as the president that we have, is because a lot of people is like, I'm choosing the lesser of two evils. But what's the issue with the lesser of two evils? Most people who acknowledge evil, or the less thereof, are believers in the Bible, or believers in some type of monotheist belief. Now, where's the issue with that? Is it's non-biblical. It's non-biblical. You never choose the lesser of two evils simply because it's evil. and it's not hard to say that. It's evil. So what does that mean whenever you vote for evil? It means that you are consenting, agreeing to evil, making yourself evil. Which brings to the mindset, can a person who votes for lesser of two evils be a Christian or a believer, and whether it be Allah, God, or whatever? Leave it in the comments. Is it possible according to the text? Because at least from what I'm learning, guys, especially if you go like to the book of Revelation, it says, he's going to spit those who straddle the fence out of his mouth, because they're neither hot nor cold. And how can we actually conform to that mindset without pretty much breaking down our own foundations? The issue that I guess I'm bringing forth is that we don't truly understand what we're doing, and we allow ourselves to get into these crappy situations. Now, how do we resolve these different things? I'm glad you asked. We first have to know what these people are doing and what these people are saying. So let's look at first the definition of democracy, because this is what they always pushing. They're telling you this is a democracy. This is a democracy. But is this country based off democracy? Does anybody know what democracy is? Please, please, please leave it in the comments. Hold on just a second, guys. Got to make sure that I'm checking everything out. Checking the comments. I have someone helping me to moderate, but I'm just making sure that if anybody responds, that I'm responding back to you. So, democracy is that form of government in which the sovereign power resides in and is exercised by the whole body of free citizens. So does that sound like what we actually have? Have you ever, who already knew what the definition of democracy was? Because often enough, many people don't know what these different words are, and they just believe, oh, democracy means helping America or living in freedom. But it's saying right here, the form of that form of government in which the sovereign power resides in and is exercised by the whole body of free citizens. Now, in accordance with the old Roman law, it says free citizens, but it doesn't tell you what a free citizen is. You can believe that you're a free citizen all you want to, but the old Roman law says that enslaved citizens were considered persons. They called them persons. Fact check it. Don't take my word for it. Put it in the comments if you're not able to find it. I'm sure I have a few brothers that will be able to provide that. I can't do it at this time. I didn't have enough time. I just wanted to get on live and discuss this with you guys. But citizens, like in Roman times, a person was considered a slave. A slave is not a free citizen. But if you check many of the statutes of this country, most of it applies to persons. Now, this is not legal advice in case someone comes after me. This is not legal advice. I'm just taking all of what I've studied and all the different things that I'm investigating. This is an investigation. Feel free to come on and fact check me. You can always go over to my YouTube, and the link or the link to go on live is able for you guys to join me on this. But as I was saying, yeah, free citizen, that's what it's for. That's why places like Ukraine cannot have a democracy, and that's why they don't have a democracy. It's because they have what we had, what is that? It's a different type of cracy, whatever that is. But it's like is where the government uses their people. Sort of like what America does. We don't even have a democracy. But I'm going to continue. This is out of the Black's Law Dictionary, guys. Black's Law Dictionary is where I'm getting this from. Now, it's distinguished from a monarchy, oligarchy, and aristocracy, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. According to the theory of pure democracy, every citizen should participate directly in the business of governing, and the legislative assembly should be comprised the whole people. So with that being said, that there's two different types or two main types of democracy. But which one are they talking about whenever they say we live in a democracy? Because they just say democracy. We have two different main types. We have the representative democracy, and I talked about this in one of my other lives, and I'm just hitting on it more on this one, actually going into definitions. So we have the representative democracy, and then we have the pure democracy. Representative democracy is what it's going to continue to talk about, but pure democracy is what we are supposed to be. A pure democracy is this portion right here. According to the theory of the pure democracy, every citizen should participate directly in the business of governing, and the legislative assembly should comprise of the whole people. Now, What that means is that we would have a voice in everything that goes on. But as you can see, leave it up to Dr. Fauci, leaving it up to Blinken, leaving it up to the Attorney General of the United States, like they're making people who decide to go to their city council meetings terrorists. Especially if you want to say anything against CRT, if you want to say anything against a list of different issues that a lot of people are going against right now. If you don't agree, they're making you terrorists. Now, does that sound like a pure democracy? That's what is more in line with what this country is actually supposed to be, which is a republic. We're supposed to be a republic, and they keep pushing this idea of democracy, which also is, by definition, majority rule. Go on to Webster's. You guys can get these definitions out of multiple places, where democracy just means majority rule. And how toxic is that? Because we're not told which democracy we're going by. So if we are a democracy and it's majority rule, how does that even hurt us? Like, let's say on this side we have Pharisees who believe in the resurrection. On this side we have Sadducees who don't. But we have the Pharisees who have more numbers than the Sadducees. If they vote for something, or if they believe in something, they have more numbers. Now everybody has to go with what they want. Now, granted, that's what happens within the Senate. Like right now, they have this woman, Kendi Jackson, has to get so many votes in order for her to become a justice. How many people actually believe that Kendi Jackson should be in this position as a justice? Leave it in the comments. This is an actual discussion. Let's have a think tank. Let's have a meeting of the minds. Either leave it in the comments or join me on the live. It's not tough at all. If you guys don't have any suggestions or anything, I have one in the back. Hold on just a second. I'm going to bring you on. Hold on just a second. Let me make sure we can hear you. All right. If you can give us your name and if you have any places where they can find you. All right, guys, just to let you know, on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, if you're joining me from Instagram, please go and like and subscribe. Whoever joins on to here with us. If you're on TikTok and you can't see or hear our guest, please let me know, and I can try to send you guys a link so that you can also join in or hear them. But please let me know if you can't hear me on TikTok. All right, go ahead.
I'm just Miss Help Me, and I'm coming to join the discussion. That's all.
All right. So, have you heard anything about Kendi Jackson, or have you seen anything on YouTube or whatever?
Yeah, I've heard about different things. I heard that Biden has recommended her. That already was a red flag. So, I honestly wasn't too interested in it after seeing that. But I learned from you how important her position is that she's trying to get into, and her ideologies, how that could affect all of us. So that piqued my interest.
Of course. And what we don't understand is, so with this being the high court of America, like let's say a current issue that we're going over, or that Texas is going over right now, guys, is the Roe versus Wade issue. They're trying to get that overturned in Texas right as we speak. I don't know if it's been finished or if it's how long it's going to continue, but they're going over that issue. And women, like what they are trying to put into position, would be a determining factor whether or not to overturn that issue. And so that's why they asked this woman questions like, when is a baby actually alive? And what did she say? She sat there like, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. And the silly female also went to the extent of saying, I don't know what a woman is, in context of what we're discussing. In what context is a woman different? please leave it in the comments. Or if you want to come on live, guys, I'm at Library of Law or Law Library Audiobooks and Discussions on YouTube. If you want to join this live, answer. You know what? Miss Help Me. I'll ask you. When do you think a baby becomes alive?
At conception?
What do you guys think? I also believe it's at conception. That's when there is no takebacks.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't necessarily change it. Once it connects to that egg, and once it actually starts to live or thrive on its own, not necessarily like completely on its own, it's attached to a feeding source, it now becomes a situation of it is alive.
Yeah. Well, she evaded a lot of questions for, I guess, seemingly obvious purposes, trying to not come off as leftist, maybe, or remain neutral. I don't know.
I think that's what the case is as well. If you cannot hear us on TikTok, please join the Facebook or the YouTube. And thank you everyone who are liking and subscribing to our dialogue. I'm hoping that more people decide to join in on this. And so, like with her, I think, yes, she was trying to put out this facade that she was not with any type of party or idea, but she's on the school board that's teaching CRT. Guys, what are you guys' opinion on CRT? And is it good for the schools? Because in my, I guess, unscholarly or whatever you want to call it opinion, I don't think that CRT is healthy for anybody. I think that it teaches hate and that it creates an issue. What do you guys think in the comments? And what do you think, Miss Help Me, as far as CRT? Do you have enough information?
I'm not too sure. Is that critical race theory?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much teaching white children that they come from a bad bloodline and should feel guilty, while teaching black children that they should be happy that whites decided to give them a chance in life or something. I don't know.
And that's the thing. I think it's been a couple years, guys, that there was this older lady. I think I'm not sure of her race. I'm just gonna say that there was this older Caucasian lady that was going viral for bashing Caucasian people for their privilege. Ever since we've been pushing privilege, now we got the idea that we have to push. Now we got to remove this privilege that they have. When in my opinion, even if there is a privilege for someone else, how much better is it for you if you can still get in a position of power, even though that someone else has a privilege? If I can get into a prestigious college without a privilege, who is better? And whether you're Hispanic, Indian, or whether you're from Afghanistan or whatever, what do you guys think? Is it more profitable? Are you seen as more profitable to any type of work environment, or even for building your own business? Is it a stronger background for you to say, oh, my family were judges, and so I became a judge? Or is it better to say, hey, I struggled, I had a bad background, I got out of the dirt and I went up the ranks and I became a judge? And even if it is the same amount of time, what do you guys think? What do you think, Ms. Help Me?
I think people like the underdog story often, but they don't really like to be the underdog. The underdog feels victimized and all this different stuff. But that's if we believe in white privileges and stuff, which I have my opinions on it. But some people believe whatever they want to believe, and a lot of times with white privileges and feeling like a victim, you're really holding yourself back mentally.
Of course, and I think that this generation and I'm probably maybe I can coin this. I think this is the generation of victimization. I think that everybody's using victimizing themselves for their own benefit. Whether it be the people who are obese or overweight, they're victimizing themselves or externalizing their inner victimization, and whether it be pushing on to the people of color, that them saying, oh, I don't have this, or the white man is doing this, or I have this background, or even Caucasian people or whatever. I think everybody's trying to push out so that they can come up an easy way rather than working for what they want and what they desire. But I digress on that. I'm going to continue to discuss democracy, and then we're going to move on to a few other things. So, as I was saying earlier, let me go back a little bit. So, according to the theory of pure democracy, every citizen should participate directly in the business of governing, and the legislative assembly should comprise the whole people. All right, hold on just a second, guys. Even on TikTok, Facebook, CKQ is asking, who is the candidate woman? Woman. Mackenzie Jackson. She's a judge who's been, she claims to be practicing as a judge for around like a decade. And she has different, is a list of things. If you guys really have to watch the nomination that's going on. She gets nominated by April 4th, if I'm not mistaken. But she is someone who's trying to get into the highest court, which should be the Supreme Court of the United States. And she would be pretty much bringing liberal ideals in there. A Supreme Court judge had left out, and now they found another liberal Supreme Court, or who they want to be the Supreme Court judge. So she is someone who's going into that position. Okay, good. Robert Mingles said, hold on, let me put you up there. Sorry, CKK, I should have put you up there too. Good. Robert Mingles said, how can I respond to any of the words at all? I'm not a linguist. Oh, okay. I see what you're doing. All right. So yeah, one of the things, CKQ and anybody else who wanted to know, one of the things that the judge was saying is, like, she was asked, what is a woman? And this woman had the nerve or the idea to say, I don't know. I can't provide the definition of a woman. Like, I can't provide it. And like, wait a minute, you're going to be a judge and you can't even provide the definition for what a woman is? How can you, like, even children can explain what a woman is, and you're telling me you can't provide, and that's the reason why she cannot provide that definition is because it does not fit the leftist mindset. Miss Help Me, do you have anything to say on that part?
No, I just think she was dodging a lot of questions just to remain neutral so no one could form any ideas about her in that particular setting or that, interview that she was going on. But she's already exposed some of her ideas, so.
Indeed. And so with that, guys, as far as like the idea of her not knowing what a woman is, often enough within a lot of, even I ask my children the same questions, and what's being promoted often within social media and within schools is that women, men are pretty much no longer in existence, or they're like a cis man or a cis woman. They're trying to change definitions in order to, I don't know what their intent is, but they're trying to add in different things, the non-binaries, the transsexuals, and they're trying to make everything equal. These different ideas, they're only ideas. They're trying to make ideas equal to what has been solidified throughout history, and not just regular history, but all of history, man and woman. Now they're like, oh, transsexual is another type. Now we got non-binary. Now we got furries. Now we got a list of different things. And then to the craziness. But guys, we have another guest. Please welcome CKQ Podcast. Please, guys, these two have their own YouTube. Please feel free to check it out. They provide a lot of good information. And CKQ, he has a panel of awesome discussions. Check them out on YouTube. But go ahead, CKQ, let us know about you. And
thanks for having me up here, man. Definitely
Most
good to be
deaf.
up. Hi, Miss Help Me. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How you been?
Fantastic, fantastic.
Good.
Okay, so this was actually a discussion I had on my panel. It was we touched on it a little bit, and someone came up to the panel and brought a good point. He said, "If not her, then she's someone that they're just putting there to push their agenda. Unfortunately, it just happened to be a black woman. It could have been a white woman with the same kind of ideology, but we should celebrate the idea that it is a black woman because now they're hear me out, all right? Because now realistically, young girls can actually see themselves, same like Barack Obama. He didn't do anything different compared to a lot of other presidents, but it was still a historical moment. This will still be a historical moment. And we need to acknowledge that. But what we also have to start realizing in the black community is that we aren't putting we aren't educating ourselves enough to bring up someone that we would love to see be in that position. So we can't complain about who is being placed in that position right now. Because realistically, most people aren't paying attention to their local elections and trying to raise someone from the ground up. But we wait till the last minute when there's someone placed up there and we're like, what? That's the worst kind of candidate. How could you put someone like that up there? That's a disgrace. But we didn't care, months prior, years prior. We didn't care at all. You know?
And I can agree with that. Hopefully, if you can hear us on TikTok, please let me know in the comments. And I can agree with that only to a certain extent. Yes, it may be a historical moment. As far as like, let's say with Barack Obama, with him being the first, I guess, African American or black president. Historically, before the Confederacy of America, they said that we had John Hanson, which was the first black president of America. So Barack Obama didn't create any history, any actual history. He was the first black president of the Confederacy. And with Mackenzie Jackson, she is not the first black woman to get nominated. There's a woman that was prior to her, and Joe Biden actually voted against her. And she was just as credible, if not more, to become a justice. So and this is something that this administration has been known for, trying to put somebody of color into position because they know that we will come running behind it and use it as a stepping stone to make us feel like we can go up. But if we apply ourselves, we can go up. But one issue that I have with I guess our people is that for overall, what do we go after? Are we going after trying to be architects? Are we trying to go after being like electricians, doctors, or lawyers and things like that? Overall, no. We're trying to be independent business people. We're trying to go after being barbers and hairstylists. And this doesn't take away from any of those. You can make mad money with those.
No, but those things don't move society forward.
Yes, it doesn't. And so, but even like say like for me, like for the past couple of years, I had decided I'm going to go to school and I'm going to be an attorney, or I'm going to run for a public office because I see the idea that I can't make real changes in the laws of this land without being a public official who control that. And so that's where we as people have to try to go for and then continue to inform our people, everybody across the board, whether you're white, black, Mexican, or whatever you are, we have to keep everybody informed. Hey, this is what's going on. We need to pay attention because this is going to affect us. And if we would have did this during the elections with Joe Biden and Trump, and I now this is just, I can't say whether or not it's solidified because I don't know if the elections were stolen or not. But if we would have kept in mind what Trump stood for and what Joe Biden stood for, then we would have been in a better place than we are now. Because we were in a surplus economically whenever Trump was in office.
Vastly.
So,
That was my guy.
and it continued to grow. In his first year, the economy grew, I think, by 5%. In his second year, I think it was by 14%. In the third year, it was by 11%. But in his last year, it went down by 8%. So we continued to grow. But as soon as this guy who was voted in got in, we started to decrease and started to get stupid. And I think that whoever we have as a representative, it really is, I guess, it shows our character as a people. Whoever our leader is a representative of us. So if we're sitting here saying Joe Biden is a dumbass or Joe Biden doesn't have this, he's not cognitive, it really says a lot about us if we haven't gotten him out of office or try to push to get him out of office. Because if he doesn't, there's a representative democracy. So if he's supposed to be a representative and he has all of these issues, he represents us. This is how we look to the rest of the world, and we know this is how we look. Think about how we view North Korea. We view North Korea a certain way because of Kim Jong-un. We look at Canada and their prime minister, and we view Canada according to what he's doing. We're like, oh yeah, that's bullshit. What is wrong with Canada?
All right. And with the what CKQ was talking about with it's still the idea that it's still a historical moment and we should be sort of proud because we can our children can be able to see and the youth can be able to see themselves in these higher positions. While I do see that and agree, I also see it as that woman is going to be the catalyst of a whole bunch of BS. And with that, so are Black people. If we're going to take the good, we got to take the bad. And the bad outweighs the good, in my opinion. And I don't want any parts of it. I don't want a Black woman to be the fault of the crap that she's about to implement, honestly.
Listen, I just wanted to throw that out there because, you know, that was a good point that he brought up because I wasn't really looking at it from that point of view. But again, she's such a leftist that it's just there's going to be no good outcome. But again, I think this is not more against her. This is more against the administration.
Yes.
And that's really what I like. I guess that's the main point that I'm saying is she's a bad candidate, but that it was more like Joe Biden was planning to pick a bad candidate, someone that was going to be bad. And why not make it a Black woman?
Right.
And that's also like, even with like, say like Kamala, anybody who's been following any type of public speech that she's had within the whole administration would say that she's dingy or that she has a lot of issues. Like she hasn't had neither her nor Biden has had a successful public conference at all. Whether it be them fumbling or whether it be them sending out disinformation or whether it be them just making America look bad to the world. And I would invite anybody on TikTok, Facebook, or YouTube or Instagram to come join us and to provide, I'll post whatever video you want to show one of her or one of his videos where we can actually discuss, hey, she is doing her best. And I think that Kamala, since all the people, I heard a lot of people rallying saying Kamala's the first Black VP. We should be proud. And she has been a disgrace. And now I'm not saying that Black women are a disgrace. I'm saying she has been a disgrace and she has made our women look bad. So if we're supporting and this is not saying any of us, but if in general, if we're supporting someone based off the color and not off of what their character or their morals are, then I think that we aren't doing ourselves a justice. And that's where we saw that it already didn't work with Kamala. It failed horribly with Kamala. If you guys watch any of her engagements, you'll see whether it be lying, whether it be her sending out the stupidest ideas. Like it, and granted, Trump has said some stupid things, guys. Whether it be the Clorox or the bleach stuff, but he said that was him being sarcastic. But even with that being said, both parties are saying stupid stuff, but we have to get in a position where if we believe that there needs to be a change, um, we can't try to let somebody else do it. We gotta, if we want change, we have to be it. And that's where I'm even coming in. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try to get into whatever position I can get into to affect my surroundings. Wow. So
that's why I agree with TKQ on that position of especially Black people not wanting to pay attention to local politics and, you know, take action in that, because that's the only voting that I believe matters the most is your local.
Far more.
I agree.
Yep, and we ignore all that stuff until
presidential.
Right. So I agree. Our people as a whole need to be re-educated on that and shown how they are able to vote and what's the importance of it. Because a lot of people don't really understand that. I didn't for a long time. And when I found out, because I thought all of it was a sham, you know, like the presidency down to locals, like I'm not doing any of it. And then I did my research and saw some cool things passed locally that, you know, the people were able to bring their voice up against and win. And that was like encouraging. Like, okay, we do have a voice locally at least.
Mm-hmm. And that's where I think that we could definitely become like bring a meeting of the minds, guys, and be some type of effective. I hate I was on a call last night and we were discussing relationships, and they were saying that certain issues with women or certain issues with men, and I'm like, all right, guys, we're having a discussion here. Are we having a discussion about problems? Now, if we are having discussions about problems that we see, are we trying to come to a solution, or are we trying to just vent? Are we trying to just complain about everything, or are we trying to actually fix the issue? And if it's a group of men or women, like I would think it's written in our DNA to try to fix the issue rather than just sit there complaining, crying.
Yeah, especially for men. It's a bit of a turnoff when men just sit there complaining and nobody wants to hear the solutions. Because on that particular call, there was lots of solutions, but those are ignored in favor of complaining about things repeatedly for hours.
Well, victimhood is the new trending thing right now.
Yeah,
it definitely is.
Everyone wants to be a victim. You know, we all want to have our voice heard. In the men's spaces, I get it, just because now men are finally starting to speak up and voicing their complaints.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, no one cares. You're a man. Like no one gives a shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to suck it up because that's just how the world is. We have to move the world forward. So yes, you can talk about it. That's cool. But in the end of the day, what's the actionable steps you're taking to rectify any issues that are happening? If you hop on a panel, and I've noticed with a lot of panels that are happening on YouTube right now, there's just a lot of complaining that's really just going on. You hop on there and it's kind of like, yeah, women aren't doing this, women aren't doing that, women aren't doing this. Okay, but what are you doing? Like what have you tried to do to increase your pay? What have you tried to learn to better your lifestyle, to try to help out your community? No, women are the problem. It's kind of like a lot of people don't understand. Great things are happening because people are now talking, but what's happening a lot more now is people are finding others that agree with them, and they're getting stuck in their silos, their echo chambers of just, this is what's wrong, this is what's wrong, this is what's wrong. But I also think great things are happening, are going to keep happening, especially in the Black community, because great minds are now meeting. People that want to move things forward are now meeting. So those people are now interacting, and those people, unlike the ones that want to complain, are going to start interacting with each other and trying to find ways to make change. And unlike the people that complain, they're trying to build networks and build a much bigger, stronger network. And honestly, I think this is a very big boom for the Black community, especially with this whole YouTube space. I think it's very wonderful. Right now, the loudest voices are obviously the ones that complain, but behind the scenes, the people that actually want to make change, like yourself, are making change.
Most definitely. And I'm hoping that we can all be different pieces to the puzzle that will create the bigger picture. And I think that as we continue to network and to bring forth and have meetings of minds, we're going to create the perfect plan, or create even a stronger community, if it is just a town, or if it is our state, if not the whole country, and affect maybe even the world, and produce something that will be beneficial to everyone, whether it be the rich or the poor. Now, on the topic of going back to the voting or the electing or the list of different things, one thing that I find that we overall as a people, in at least in America, I can't say for other countries that we're on a decline, is what I had said from the very beginning. We sit there and we have the issue of voting for the lesser of two evils and not looking at a person's background. Like on my I can't remember which live I did, but I was discussing I forgot the guy's name who Black Lives Matter was really pushing after he got killed by a police officer. Can you remember his name? CKQ?
Killed by a police officer?
Yeah, the guy, the black guy. He was a black man who was killed recently. George, nope, it's not
Floyd?
George. Yeah, George Floyd. Yeah, so, like, they take the end conversation or the end situation, and they don't consider any of his background. And that's the issue even I find with police. And you don't know, like, what these police have dealt with and what actually happens. But, like, these people come acting crazy or doing crazy things with these police that's already trigger happy or scared for their lives. And they're actually scared. And now, this is just my opinion. I think that they do have a reason to be afraid often enough. I've lived in the hood. I've lived in different situations, and I know what happened in certain neighborhoods. So they're usually high sprung or like really like, okay, what's going to happen? And so I think that we don't look at like situation like George Floyd, who they say was on drugs at the time. And whenever people get on drugs in those type of situations, guys, it don't matter if you shoot them, tase them, or whatever, especially if it's something like PCP or whatever, they're coming for you. And they can get really violent and hurt you. So, like in this situation, this dude was on drugs. They say his past was a violent past and a drug dealer. But all we hear is this stuff where they're making him into a saint. And that's where a big issue for us comes in. We don't look at the past. We just take this one little piece of this overall puzzle. We only take this one good looking thing without going to the overall. And that's where the issue is with Nikenji Jackson. They've gone down a list of different issues that they've had with her, or that the public has had dealing with her, and everybody's like, she's black. And I'm not saying that anybody on any of on the different platforms are saying that. I'm saying like, they're like, she's black though, and she's a woman. This is good for us. No, because she not only was soft on crime, like the specific crime that she was soft on is child pornography and child abuse. What was required of her, or what was the outline, at least for the situation that was asked for? The prosecution had asked that this person got 18 months, which would be the minimum of the sentence for child abuse and child pornography. She gave the person 3 months. The minimum was 18, but she gave him 3 months. And guess what happened? He got out.
Did the same exact.
And he went back in. And guess what she gave him? She gave him 9 months for the second time. And this is who we're supposed to bring in? She also can't define what a woman is. She also can't tell you when a baby is alive in the womb. And as a believer in the Bible, these are foundational things for all of us. For all of us who believe in I would say the Quran or the Bible or all the major belief systems. These are foundational points, and so they're asking these questions like, "Hey guys, what?" They're asking these questions for us, the constituents, saying, "Look, this is what this woman believes, and y'all want us to vote her in? This is what she stood by. She was recommended to do this, but she did this instead. She soft on crime." And they'll paint this pretty or this ugly little picture onto the different mainstream medias about the character of these representatives that's asking her these questions. Now, are these not things that we deserve to know? And guys, please leave it in the comments, whatever you want to say. And if you want to respond to anything, CKQ, feel free. Once again, guys, I want to say if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, please like, subscribe to this page. And also, please go to Miss Help Me at YouTube. And please go to CKQ Podcast, Clement, at on YouTube as well. And I think they also have Instagrams as well. So, but I digress. If you have anything to say, CKQ.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but when it comes down to this, Nikendi Jackson, she's a pawn. She's unfortunately, and with a lot of the leftist minded crowd, they're very gullible. I guess that's the best way to say it. Like they are the best people to be pawns because it's kind of like pointing them in the direction and say, they're not being nice to people, and that's all you really need to trigger them, and they're gonna go for equality no matter what, even if it's a pedophile. They're gonna say, "Oh, but he's reformed. He can be a good person." It's like, no, there's just some people that need to be thrown behind bars for a very long time. That's just it. And people don't have it in them to see and understand that, and the Biden administration is just capitalizing on that. Like, okay, we have someone that's going to be, it's the nicest way to say it. We have someone that's going to be friendly enough to try to make everything all peachy and, roses and sunshine. And realistically, that's not the way the world. That's why, listen, Trump was great because his rhetoric was not liked by a lot of people, but his actions benefited everyone. Trump is someone that built up companies. So if if America became his company, he's going to build it up to the strongest it can be. And for some reason, people just could not see that. And like his actions were already showing that, and people just could not see that. Yeah. But now they decided to get Biden back in, and I think someone actually said like, oh, if Biden comes in, gas is going to go up to like $7 or something.
That was Trump. Trump told us during his debates with Biden, was telling us, hey, if he gets in office, you guys are going to be paying $7, $11 gas prices. And look at us.
Look what's happening.
Trump actually warned us about everything, guys. I know on my TikTok, all 7,000 of you guys, like you guys have seen the videos I've been posting, and maybe I'll post some on this call, on this live. But yeah, he pretty much predicted everything that was going to happen. And guys, let's just go to like the economics and the policies of both parties. Whenever we look at Trump got us, I guess, maybe in $7 trillion in debt throughout his administration. Now Biden, his is around $9 trillion. But what we have to keep in mind with the difference between the two is that Trump, he spent 4 years to get to $7 trillion. Biden, within his first year, was already at $8 trillion. To me, that is a big freaking issue. Economically, especially as far as inflation goes. And what I really wanted to talk about inflation tonight as well with you guys, because it's a really big issue for us. Yes, I agree. All 6B on TikTok, all red flags. So, but guys, like as far as the inflation goes, right out the gate, Biden went in and disrupted our complete economy. Our economy was going back up, even with COVID going on. Our economy was going up. As soon as Biden got into office, he disrupted the border. He canceled all the different plans that Trump had. The Paris connection, I think it's called the Paris connection. He put us back into that, putting us in more of trillions of dollars of debt. Yep, I agree. Let's go, Brandon. But yeah, we have to have a meaningful conversation to figure out how do we really, I'm trying to find the right word. How do we get this dude out of office? Or how do we create an effective change to where what he's doing does not affect us? Because it is possible. Whenever we look at Florida with Ron DeSantis and his people, he has put different bills in place to protect his state. All of us were struggling, or they stopped us. We had to wear masks. We couldn't go to school. Our children couldn't go to school. We had to get vaccines. I think it was Texas and Florida was like, nope, we're not doing that here. We're not messing up our economy. And they flourished because of it. They continue to have a normal lifestyle while we struggle around almost every other state struggled. And we actually went into a decline. And Florida rose out of the ashes of COVID. So it is possible. We just have to either get the proper people into the position, or we have to get in those positions ourselves. We have to really in our local areas, we have to find out what these people stand for and either push them into office or find. I was looking up ways to become part of the Senate or the House of Representatives. It's not actually that hard. All you need is a good backing and no politics as far as good policy. Find out what the people want. So it's not that hard, guys. But I digress. CK, you wanted to say something?
No, I'm listening, man. There's important things you're saying. You know what? Was Biden talking about getting rid of a lot of like gas powered, like, wasn't he trying to the Green New Deal? Is that still?
Yes, he's been pushing that ever since before his election, or not his election, before he became president. He was really pushing the Green New Deal. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can pull that up.
Because talking about that from a plumbing standpoint, that would greatly affect our jobs, because gas is used in almost everything we do. Water heaters, boilers, HVAC systems, all those, they use gas. Electricity is just not strong enough to heat as much as combustion. As much as Go ahead. You were gonna say?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's just not. It's not strong, and it's funny because we were actually going over this in plumbing school, and our teacher was saying, like, we're gonna have to. The good thing about this is now there's going to be a need for something that can burn much hotter than gas. Unfortunately, him removing that gas is going to. I mean, we're gonna have to restructure how our homes are built.
Yeah, and what they've really been pushing as far as Jen Psaki, if you're following on TikTok, YouTube, or Facebook, thank you for joining in the conversation. Please like and subscribe, share the video, and if you desire to, if you're on TikTok or any of the other platforms and you want to join the conversation, if you have anything beneficial to add, feel free. If you're on YouTube and on TikTok, if you could please share the link to the StreamYard onto TikTok so people can join in. All 6B said circle back. That's what Jen Psaki always say. But as far as what CKQ is talking about, yeah, the Green New Deal would be horrible for us. And that's one thing that also is affecting our economy. They try to just pretty much switch everything or flip it to from oil and gas to electric, which won't. It's almost like I have a electric powered blower. An electric power blower, it takes me like for an area that I would normally be able to just to wipe out with the gas powered blower, like it takes me at least like 2 times longer to try to get it because it's not blowing much leaves around. But a gas powered blower just like pushes everything out of the way.
No comparison. It's no comparison.
But one thing that Jen Psaki and Biden has pushed though is that there's going to be a transition. There's going to be a slow transition for the Green New Deal. But then they start canceling the different contracts with these private companies as far as people trying to drill for oil. They say Jen Psaki has said on her little speeches, oh well, we still have 9,000 places or reserves that they can go to. Yes, even though there's those 9,000 places, that doesn't mean that they're, for one, good places to go for oil. They actually have to have a good place. It doesn't, just because they designate this area doesn't mean that it's going to actually produce oil or there's actually going to be good oil. And then secondly, moving on from just the good oil, there's a process for the oil to be for them to get the contracts. They have to get the contract, and then there's a waiting time period, which could be a year or more, that they have to do on a waiting list in order to actually go. And then they have to get the equipment there. They have to do all the different processes that they do for these oil companies. So it would take over a year anyway. That's why when they cut off the Keystone pipeline, like that's where it was a big issue for us, and we started to drop economically. One thing that I wanted to ask you guys, what do you guys think about Biden canceling the Keystone pipeline, but opening up or allowing Russia to finish the pipeline so they can get oil? Because even though they're our enemies, or they've always been our enemies, not during Trump administration, what do you guys think about that? And also, the question number 2 is, what do you think about America and NATO supporting, protecting the borders of Ukraine, and yet they say fuck it to American borders and just say let everybody in? Because just in case somebody doesn't know, within any of the platforms, we're planning, according to Joe Biden in the G7 summit, we're planning to take 100,000 people from Ukraine over to America. 100,000. Just in case you didn't know, we also already took 10,000 people, or welcomed 10,000 people from Afghanistan when we left there. We've also allowed over 2 million people into America from the southern border. And if we hate Russia so much, why is it that they've counted around like 9,000, this is a couple months ago, 9,000 Russians who've come across the border? Actually, we have many different people from who we call terrorist states who have actually come into our border, who we know have come into our border. And we have a policy which Biden has pushed back in place. Trump took it out. It's called the catch and release. What they do is, even if you're a terrorist, even if you came into this country and you was pushed out because you were a rapist, a murderer, or something else, what they do is they catch you, they document you, sort of like what they do with sharks and dolphins and things like that. They catch you, they tag you pretty much, and then they release you into America.
Into the wild.
Texas has been dealing with a lot of issues as far as I think it's like 50% death rate going up. Well, death rates are going up by 50% in Texas. It may be bigger, it may be smaller. I'm just saying it's an approximate. Please fact check me just to make sure that I'm correct on that. But it's gone up astronomically. All the border states, their death rates or their murder rates have been going up because of the cartels coming into America now. One thing that we have to keep in mind is during Obama and Biden administration, they had the operation. I forgot. Damn it! I forgot what the operation was called. But they had an operation where they was found, and this is one of the reasons why they was trying to kill the young man. I forgot his name, the whistleblower. But they were found giving thousands of guns to the Mexican cartel. So if they're giving thousands of guns to the Mexican cartel, huh?
Was his name Snowden or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was Snowden, or maybe the military kid who released a lot of documents. But I can't remember exactly which one it was. But I know that there was an operation that they had put out there, and it ended up being that we were giving military-grade weapons to the Mexican cartel. And now, what are they dealing with on the border? They're dealing with people fighting against us with military-grade weapons. Who would have thunk? How did that happen? So what do you guys think? First question is, well, I'll go with the second one as the first one. First one being our borders. What do you guys think about us protecting Ukraine borders, but not protecting ourselves? It's almost like, I would say the Bible says that any man who doesn't take care of his own children is worse than an infidel. And here we are, not taking care of our own country, but taking care of other countries. But go ahead, Ms. Help Me. You can go first.
No, I actually think is highly inconsistent and inconsiderate of Americans in themselves, especially after the whole COVID facade and stuff that came with that. For him to now double tap and hurt Americans in many different ways, especially economically, over something that's not even our business, that we can't fact check ourselves here. And it's just a whole bunch of empathy bait trying to make us feel sorry for Ukraine, which I don't wish any country have to go through war. But I do feel like it's being played against the American population to not be able to see what's past, what they're trying to put in front of our eyes, past the emotions that they're trying to flare in us. So it doesn't make any sense at all. No logical reasoning behind it. Nothing wise in war tactics either, to pay attention to other people's borders and police their borders, yet let your own borders, go to crap. So.
Give me a second.
All right. So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And I definitely agree. As an Army veteran, I see it as an asinine gesture to go in war in another country when it appears that we have war that's being committed against ourselves. And I just want to take a short break, guys, to say thank you to everyone who is joining us on the different platforms, whether it be on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, or whatever you're coming from. We wanted to thank you guys for joining us. We hope that you'll join in on the conversation. All 6B has been throwing in a lot of good statements and questions. Good Robert Mingle, CKQ, who has also joined in the conversation. Everybody, we thank you for joining us. We hope that you'll if you can answer the questions, feel free to join us in on the live call. Miss Help Me, and I see that you're also on the TikTok. If you want to put the link, I'm going to share the link again, but if you want to put the link onto TikTok so that if anybody on TikTok wants to join the conversation, feel free. I just put it in again, guys, on YouTube and on the Facebook fan page. But I digress on that, getting back to the topic of our borders and really voting, guys. This is what is this silly female name? Kamala say? The people voted and they got what they asked for. Yeah, this is what we asked for. When we didn't take the initiative to push these people out of the way to make sure that Trump got back in office, or by any means necessary, as Malcolm X would say, we elected this, we allowed it to happen, and if we can't effectively find a way to resolve this issue, whether it be by getting him out of office and allowing somebody else to step in, then it's on ourselves. We can't continue to complain because it becomes our complaints become useless, for the lack of a better way to say it. We can't continue to complain. We have to find a resolution. We have to fix this issue.
Yeah, and complaining makes you. Is it an echo?
I think so. Hold on. Try it now. I'm gonna mute mine.
I was gonna say, complaining makes it seem like you're actually doing something. It gives like the illusion that there was some type of solution there, because it feels good to complain. That's why people do it. It's like a release of pressure, a release of whatever negative emotions they have, and then they go back on their day. That's why it's not. You shouldn't make a habit of complaining. You should make it a habit of thinking of solutions. And a lot of times, especially social media, people are happy and content with posting their complaints, basically. And then they'll go back, on their day and be okay with it.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I've also found, guys, especially with complaining. One thing that they always taught me in the Army was that complaining is infectious. It's contagious. Once you complain in these different issues without an actual solution, all it's going to cause is negativity for someone else. So if you do have legitimate complaints, you either send these complaints to where it can be resolved, or you just keep it to yourself and try to create a solution, or try to find a way to create a solution rather than promoting the issues only. Now, as far as these different things with that we're discussing as far as our border, we need to make sure that either we try to find a way to get Biden out of office or find a way to implement the laws that have already been in place. Biden has put in executive orders to cause a block for the Texas government and the different border states to not be able to prosecute them. Yet, we get prosecuted heavily. A mother can't go to a student or a school board meeting and protest. And yet, you can come across the border legally now. I think it's USC 42, where coming across the border, anybody who helps you come across the border is now a criminal. And yet, Biden is allowing these people to come in. Check it out, USC 42. Go and look it up for yourself. And yet we're allowing these different things. All right, so Appalachian Joel L says, first off, what is all? You the speaker, nationality. Second, you all do realize the supposed votes people think they make for president is just a shield. All right, Joel, I'm going to try to respond to that as best as possible. Thank you for joining us. If you want, Joel, feel free. I just put the link. If you want to properly discuss this, I would love to have a dialogue. Maybe you can teach us, or maybe we can come to some profitable solution. All right, he says, pardon my manners. Greetings to everyone and to all. All right, guys. So as far as the response to that, I'm only able to really respond to parts of that because I was born on the land of America. So, I mean, that would make me American by my own consent. He said also, do you realize that votes that you make are just a shield? So that was another point that I wanted to discuss, guys, because I wanted to make, now this is just my opinion. I would say look it up for yourselves, but I don't believe to a great extent that votes actually count. I believe that elections count. Voters are different from electors. And what we'll often hear through all news sources is that we're waiting for the electors or the electoral college to make their votes. So what the electoral college gets is the people within their sectors. They'll take the votes of the people and then they'll come to a conclusion for themselves of who all the people are voting for. Does that mean that they're actually going to be choosing the right person, whether it be Biden or Trump with, say, like the 2020 election? No, it doesn't mean that. But yes, in a lot of cases, your vote individually does not matter. But I would say collectively as a group, it could. But it's up to the Electoral College. Those are who are putting people into office. So if you want to make a real difference as far as putting someone or you electing someone in, then you have to be a part of the Electoral College in order to make a real difference as far as who gets into office. That's what I'm saying. We have to actually figure out a position or a way to be more effective. We can't just stand in the background and say that votes don't necessarily matter. Because although they don't, there are ways to where we can be more effective. Now, Appalachian, Joel, I don't know if I answered your question. Please let me know about that. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to join in. Ms. Help Me, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking that. Do you hear echo?
I heard a little background noise, but I'll mute out in case that I'm causing an issue.
Okay. Well, I think it's a cop-out for us a lot of the times to just say that votes don't matter. And I say that because of personal experience, although I don't believe votes matter when it comes to presidencies, I do believe that they matter when it comes to the local government at this point. But a lot of our people say that as a cop-out to not do your research, to not educate yourself, and to just not make any change, and so that you can just remain in a complaint status, or what is the other word? Not victimized, but oppressed. Especially Black people like to take on I'm so oppressed and I can't make any change, and the only thing that I can do is rally up and complain, against whoever they believe their oppressor is. So that's my thoughts on that.
And I would say I would agree, because I would think that it is a cop out to say that it doesn't matter when we can find ways to make sure that it matters, especially if we're rallying. Like, let's say, like I posted on my TikTok, a lot of people have seen it already, my TikTok about The Rock Johnson pushing for Biden to get it in office because of the Orange Man. And I think that was a big issue. It's a really big issue because he was pushing, and he had at that time, I think it was maybe 16 million followers. That's a big portion of this country. No matter how big or small this country is, like that 16 million can make a big difference. And then you have plenty of other people like Steph Curry. Steph Curry also promoted Biden. Said that he gets my push for president. This is who we're voting for. And pretty much they're suggesting to their fans, this is who you should vote for. So I think that's where like a big issue comes in. Get a following. Like, if you do have a following, push them to do certain things. And if you can, get people in your own neighborhood or in your own city to either vote, or you send out pamphlets to spread information, or whatever you have to do. Go door to door if you're actually looking for a certain type of change, whether it be I would say first, whenever we look for change, it always has to be within our area. First, starting at home, making sure everybody's good, then your neighborhood, then your city, and it continues to go out from there. That's even what we're supposed to do, even for business. But business has changed due to the technology, but business before was always, you start off with your neighborhood, then you go to the surrounding neighborhoods, then the city or whatever. But yeah, hold on. Jermaine James said, "What about dead voters, which this previous election been a part of. All right, yeah, I definitely agree with Jermaine James. Yeah, there was issues that they had with dead voters voting, and I think they had a lot of dead voters who voted. Last time I checked, they don't go to the booths. So how did they vote? I think that, but that's not an issue that was just with Biden. If I may say, I would say look it up, guys. It's not just something that was just secluded or like a Biden issue. I think that was the same issue with Trump. When if you're gonna call it an issue with Trump, it was an issue with what is his name, Obama. These are things that has been happening for a long time. These are issues that go with each president. I don't know how many, if there is, but I know that it's not something that's just for Biden. As far as that goes, as far as the dead voters. But feel free, if you have a response and you want to come on live and we have this discussion, feel free to join. I've already put the link in the comments. Let me put it back again. And Miss Help Me, did you already put it into the TikTok comments?
Yeah, I did. I don't know if it showed up as a hyperlink though. I think it's just text.
All right, that's fine, guys. Oh man, let me see. Hold on just a second, guys. Sorry if you're following. For some reason, Facebook, I'm having issues with my live. If you're on Facebook and you can see me, please let me know if you can see my live. They've been canceling me pretty much on Facebook. I've been getting canceled on Facebook, and for whatever reason now, I'm having an issue with posting a link. So if you can see me on Facebook, please let me know, because it's telling me that that it's having issues connecting. So I want to make sure I'm still on live. But yes. So the issue, whether it be with the different elections, and we can't necessarily choose Nikenji Jackson, which is the pretty much the main part of this conversation. Hold on just a second. I see I got some. All right. Let me go back. All right. So yeah, the main portion of this conversation was with Nikenji Jackson. So Nikenji Jackson is someone who's going in to be a justice who can affect us overall. Now, a lot of people say, oh, she's not a policymaker, she's not this, she's not that, but she can be an influential piece to those who don't agree with, the Roe versus Wade situation. How many people agree with Roe versus Wade? If you do agree with it, put it in the comments. If you don't, put it in the comments. That way we can have an open discussion. And if you have any questions or anything that you want to discuss, feel free to post or to send it out, and I'll put it out. Jermaine James said, or Jermaine3333 says, and that's very sad, because if that was the case, many of those votes must have been Democratic voter. Often enough, a lot of elections are unless they are strictly by the ballot, not a call in or you mail it in. It can be a fraud type of issue, or a false ballot, or whatever it's called, but it'd be fraud. So that's why, even like now, guys, they're really pushing to be able to. The Democrats are pushing for it to be a mail-in ballot thing. They're trying to put in laws, bills, or whatever it is, so that we can just mail it in. Now, the issue with just the mail-in ballot is we just had a couple million, over 2 million people who came to this country illegally, who were allowed in here. We have thousands from Afghanistan that was brought here as asylum. We have around like 100,000 that we're planning on taking from Ukraine to bring here. This is all according to the G7 summit that Biden did just recently. Type it in on YouTube, G7 summit, Biden. And he'll tell you how many people he's planning to bring to America. And that will change voting. Now, if all we really need, guys, is for them to be able to do mail-in ballots, or to make it just a mail-in ballot issue, a mail-in ballot thing. Now we'll have people who are in jail voting. We'll have people possibly from other countries, possibly people just saying, my name is XYZ in voting. I remember watching videos on different platforms, Facebook and YouTube, where people were saying, I voted, me and my children voted for Biden. And I think that's an issue, because you have to be a certain age in order to vote. You have to be a certain age. I think it's 18 in order to vote. And yet a lot of people are saying, oh, me and my children voted for Biden. And some of them say, I voted 2 or 3 times. This is where the issues come in, guys. We really have to fight against this. And we have to come together as the people and not just try to do it by ourselves. And that's why I'm bringing it to you guys. This is why I'm bringing it to you, so we can have a collection of minds or a think tank and figure out the best way to have a positive outcome. And this is what we need. And bringing people in like Mackenzie, who can't even answer a simple question, is almost like kicking ourselves in the balls for whatever reason. I don't know why anybody would want to do that, but turning our foot to the side and bringing our foot up and kicking ourselves in the balls, especially if we're not acknowledging it. And we can't complain after situations like Biden. But there are some issues, though. You have like the January 6th thing. There were people that was pushing against it. During the January 6th, during the fraud stuff, they were trying to say, hey, no, this is not the case. We do not want this. This is fake. This is not right. But what did they do? They criminalized these people. One of the major things that I have brought up in another live is that some of the major organizations that supported the January 6th issue were like the Proud Boys, I think it's the Covenant Keepers or the Constitutional Keepers. I can't remember what the name is. Please leave it in the comments if you remember what it's called. But the issue with those different organizations that a lot of people aren't saying is that these organizations are organizations that are ran by veterans. Ran by veterans. Now, the main thing with these veterans is that they are representing, or they still stick to, the Constitution, which they're saying that they're trying to protect the rights of the people in this country. Now, if that doesn't matter, leave it in the comments. Let me know. That's your opinion. Hopefully nobody pushes you down because of you using your First Amendment privilege or your protection against tyranny. But yeah, they are pretty much this country's militia. Jermaine James, he said, or what about a new crime bill? Think about it. All right, so how many people know about the crime bill that Biden had put in place, I think back in the 80s with Bill Clinton? All right, Tom Bruntley, he said, oh, before anybody answers that, if you're going to answer it, he's saying, I just joined. Please explain your stand. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Please let me know what you've been hearing. I've been going over talking about. Now, feel free to answer these questions, guys. If you're going to do it in a comment, that's fine. But it would be even better if you guys want to join me on YouTube and be able to ask these questions so other people can hear it. Because these are pretty important questions that a lot of people are asking. But as far like we've been covering the conversation of what do you guys think about Biden protecting the borders of Ukraine, but not protecting the borders of America. Willing to go to war or to send soldiers to Ukraine or to surrounding areas, but not willing to send soldiers, the National Guard, to protect our country. If you guys want to join, it should be in the comments. I don't know if you guys can see it on TikTok, Facebook. I know it's on YouTube, but if you guys want, feel free to join. I left the link so you guys can join, but Jermaine James was saying what about a new crime bill? I'm hoping that they pretty much almost already nullified the crime bill that was in place, guys. Because Biden, he had put in place, I'm not sure if I can go on a TikTok on my phone and on the computer at the same time to show you guys where he was pushing for. He was saying, I don't care what your reason is for doing crack or illicit different things. I think you should be in prison. You should be in there for a long time. Now, if that be the case, how did he change his position as soon as Obama came into office? When Obama came in, unless I'm mistaken, he was the one that pretty much lifted the issue of people being able to smoke weed. Even though with that crime bill, a lot of people, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, went to prison because of having possession of weed, smoking weed, or whatever it is. So, whether it be them lifting this stronghold of the issue of weed, or just recently him lifting this issue of crack, how do you go so far to put so many people in prison for crack back in the 80s and 90s and 2000s in general, and then lift it now? I would go as far as to say it's being lifted because of his son. His son has been known, and you can look on the TikTok, look through my different posts. He was seen smoking crack. I posted where he was smoking crack on a video. How do you go from one thing like that, having an extreme view, to having such a loose liberal view? But Tom Bruntley, if you could please explain where you came in, I can try to respond to that a little better. But he said, I just joined. Please explain. Okay. I am conservative, he says, and against authoritarian, being an authoritative person, I guess. You guys know what I'm trying to say, hopefully. I just can't get that word out for some reason. That Biden and the Dems want. I want Keystone. Are you talking about Keystone Pipeline? I think the position that Biden and his administration, whether it be the Jen Psaki, Pelosi, or Schumer, and a list of other people, even Republicans in some aspects, are pushing authoritarianism. Authoritarianism. There we go. I finally got the word out. I think they're all pushing that type of mindset, and that we are too little. They're always pushing for big government, and that's where that type of issue comes into place. That's where it comes into place, when you have bigger government. And this is what Democrats often push. And that's where the issue, even within this country, comes in. The issue with this country comes in where we're going from a democratic or a democracy, and this is a representative democracy, from a representative democracy to a republic, which Republicans are supposed to bring forth. But they didn't until Trump came in. All of them actually had sketchy type policies that they was pushing because they were politicians rather than people. To say it, I guess, the best I can. They were politicians rather than people. All Republicans were, because they wasn't pushing anything that represented us overall. But when Trump came in, they came toe to line. And then they started really pushing these issues. Say like Ron DeSantis and the different people, and even in Texas, the governors or the different, the governor, because there's only one, but the senators and different things that's over there, even the ones that's in Texas, they all really was pushing. They wasn't pushing this stuff prior to Trump coming in. If you guys can remember a time when that happened, please fact check me. Don't just let me spew out anything toxic. Don't let me spew out nothing bad, guys. So, yeah, I think that there is an issue with authoritarianism within this country now. And I think that we can be more beneficial, or we can help. We can be a better help to our nation by getting these people out of office. People like Nancy Pelosi. People like, I think, has Dr. Fauci resigned at all? Does anybody know? Tom Brontley says, listening to you, I agree with most of what you say, so I will be listening to you often. Thanks, bro. It is what it is, man. Hopefully, we can all come to a common ground and get a better understanding. Because whether you're a Democrat or Republican, independent or whatever, liberal or conservative, like, hopefully we can get our views heard, and because all of us don't have to have the same mindset. I'm just hoping that we can collectively come together, not in some stupid melting pot, but to come together but still be separate. That's where I think that we're failing as a country. We want our people to get rid of our independent views for the views of the collective. And that's where the issue with democracy comes in. I think that's a big issue for democracy, because we try to create this collective personality, and we all have to follow after it. When we all have different backgrounds. I'm not trying to have the same values as other people. I don't care for other people's views on certain things. I won't conform to certain things. And I don't expect other people to. But that's what I think is really cool about all of us. We don't have to conform. But if you are in the comments, or if you are just joining us, please like, subscribe, follow, whichever platform that you're on, whether it be YouTube, TikTok, or Facebook. And if you would like to join this conversation, I am on live on YouTube. I put the link on YouTube, Facebook, and there should be a link on TikTok. Feel free to join the conversation. I don't know if it's a hyperlink. If you have an answer for, is it right that Biden protects Ukraine's border but not ours? Let us know. If you think that it's right for us to care about anything that's going on in Canada, whether it be the protests being shut down but not care about the protests in America, let us know. Because I think that these are major issues, and what we're doing is we're getting hit with the rope-a-dope. We're being told, hey, shut up, don't stop looking over here. Go over, look over here at Ukraine. Isn't that sad? That's so sad. Help Ukraine. We need to really consider Ukraine, because this is all bad. Yes, what's going on in Ukraine is bad, but it's almost like it's sad, but it's sadder to help other people before you help yourself. Yes, Miss Help Me, they are playing on our emotions. They're definitely playing our emotions, and they know that these things matter to us. We care, because this is what the Bible and what major religions told us, that we're supposed to help people. And what the issue with us is that we watch too much news, and we look too much into other places. And what that creates is an accountability within our hearts. We start feeling like we are accountable to have to do something. That's why I felt like there was such a big issue whenever they would show these different help the children's in Africa. They would show help the children in these different areas. I think that was a really big issue, because we didn't care about the people that was in our own neighborhood, and yet we're helping people that's all the way overseas. We have people who are struggling within our own families, and yet we're worrying about somebody that's in another country, thousands of miles away. What is really going on? And how do we fix it? And this is where we come in to talk about it. We have to go back and say, okay, let's start back at square one. If I want to be an effective help to society, let me start by fixing me. I'm going to fix myself. This is an issue that a lot of Americans have. We don't go to therapy. We don't go and try to fix ourselves. We don't try to fix the inner. It's fix us, and then we try to fix. I have a wife and children. Now I go for them. Okay, let me make sure my wife is good. Let me make sure that my children are good. And that's what we're supposed to do. Then we go to the city or to the neighborhood. Then we go to the city or to the county. Or then we go to the state. Then we go to the country. This is how we become an effective change. I think even in the Bible, unless I'm mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong, but even to become a bishop or a deacon, part of it is that you have to be a husband, an effective husband, and have good children. Because part of being an effective leader is to have your house in order. And this is why I say people like Biden is not an effective leader. Because looking at his children, his daughter has been in and out of psych wards and have been dealing with psychiatrists or psychologists, whichever one. I can't remember which one is for drugs and which one is for mental health. But she's had that. And why has she had this? I'm glad you guys asked. And maybe we can do this on the next live. I have a lot of information I would like to share with you guys. But that I found, but she was saying that as she was growing up, and I have the links. It would take time to have to find it, but she was saying that as a child, her father touched her. As a child, she had to take showers with her father. She had to take showers with her father, and she said that she felt like that she was uncomfortable with that. How many people would feel uncomfortable with taking showers with their father? How many people that are watching this had an issue with Bill Cosby, but didn't have an issue with Biden and the stories? Because all it was allegations against Bill Cosby, in which he's now been freed of. Has Biden been freed of his allegations? I would say no. And this is the issue, guys. We have somebody that's in office that is not good. And what we're doing is we just count out all avenues. I've even said voting doesn't matter. And in a way, I believe that it doesn't, but it's a subjective statement. It's all an opinion. It all depends on how you're coming at it. All right, but I'm going to go through some of the comments, guys. Thank you, everybody that's joining me. Thank you, everybody that's commenting, that's liking, that's following. You're most definitely appreciated. I'm going to go through some of the comments. Now, I've been seeing a lot of you guys commenting, but I go on rants. So that's part of what we do. I'm going to go back. Some of you guys need to come on to the live and we have a conversation. That way we don't have to go through all of these messages. All right. So going back up just a little bit. Tom Bruntley was saying he voted both ways, Democrat and Republican. It depends on what the politician has to say. For me, I only voted like once in my life, and it was because it was forced. I was forced to vote while in the Army. They didn't force me to vote for somebody, but they definitely forced me to vote. And so I voted for Mickey Mouse. Didn't tell me what to do, so I definitely voted for Mickey Mouse. And I felt good about my decision at the time because it was choosing Obama or somebody else. So I was like, oh, if I'm going to be forced to vote, I'm going to vote for the best candidate. And so I voted for Mickey Mouse, literally. And if I did vote ever again, I would put my own name on there. I'm not voting for anybody else. Because I believe that if we're putting somebody in office, they represent what we pretty much are. So that's why I won't just consent to just saying, oh, we got Biden in here. Oh, well, Trump, he has a lot of different rants on Twitter. He's mean. He's connecting us to all of these terrorist organizations, terrorist countries. But Biden, he's been a great politician. He has these good things. He has these bad things. But he's better than Trump. All of that is subjective. Like, what do you mean by better? How are these people better? We can't necessarily say they're better without actually making that a verified claim. Yes, Miss Help Me, they're definitely playing on our emotions. Jermaine James said, I appreciate your service to our country. Something Trump would have said, not Biden. Yeah, that part right there. Yes, and thank you, everybody who supports veterans. I definitely support those who support veterans. And those, I support America, man. This is where I'm from. I've said plenty of times until I actually matured and grew up, fuck America. I wish I can go to Africa until I realized there is not better in Africa. There's still slaves in Africa and in the Middle East. So why the hell would I want to go there when I have it good here? It's all about the perspective. I grew up in the hood, but now, I don't live in the hood anymore. I live around older people, and I have a nice house that I stay in. I live in a good neighborhood. So it's all about the perspective. I got out of the bad environment, and now I'm in a good environment. And I'm actually in school to be a paralegal, going off to be an attorney or a politician afterwards, so that we can actually make a positive change in this country. But I digress. I'm going to continue reading comments so that you guys can see what everybody's saying. Tom Bruntley also saying Americans here want to help people from other countries than to care for our homeless and orphans. And I most definitely agree with that, especially during COVID. Guys, I really want to tell you guys about I learned while I was in ministry, or while I was a minister or a missionary, is one major piece that I often went over or gone over is Matthew 25, where it discusses on the left hand and the right hand, where you have the sheep and the goats, and he explained those people who are gonna go into everlasting life. Read that for yourself. If you're a Bible believer, and if you're not, that's on you. If you are, that's on you. But if you're a Bible believer, read Matthew 25 as far as those on the left and right, and those who are supposed to, what they're supposed to do. And it discusses taking care of the poor. But they made it almost a crime to take care of the poor. You can't even help the hitchhikers. Those who are out there that need a ride. Granted, it may be for your safety, but we can't take care of those who are in need. It's almost outlawed. And guys, I can't read all the comments, but I'm trying to read as many as possible. But as you can see, guys, we're supposed to help the poor. This is our job as being a developed nation. Those who have are supposed to help those who don't have, so that the nation can come up. But I digress. Yep, Jermaine James said President Trump was the people's president and not a war president. Yes, every president within the past 30 years, not including Trump, was a war president. Definitely a war president. And it made America worse. We just went into more and more debt with these war presidents. From the get-go, his opening speech, Trump's opening speech was, I'm turning. It's not a change from this presidency to that presidency. This is a change from politicians to the people. So, I definitely agree, Jermaine. He was the president that was for the people. And mostly, one thing, and this is a major issue, this is one of the things I wanted to really hit on as far as my people. A major issue that we have is voting for someone based on this. Not based on this, but based on this. I will not vote for you just because you're dark like me. That seems stupid. I can't vote for you just because of your skin color. We often talk about the views and things that Martin Luther King pushed, but is that what he wanted? Would he say that everything in my life should be determined by the color of my skin? Leave it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that it's about the color of the skin or about your values or your character? Any scholar or anybody who knows or actually listened to Martin Luther King and actually follows him knows what he was pushing for. But I digress. I'm going to go through some more comments. We have Tom Bruntley. He's saying in veterans here, charity starts at home. Are you saying that you're a veteran? If you are, we thank you for your service. We hope that you continue to protect this country. We hope that we can all continue to protect this country. Guys, we live here. We can actually make this place a utopia. We can make this place anything that we want. You go to California. When I went to California for the first time, I went to Chinatown. And I got an experience there that I didn't get here in North Carolina. Shout out to everybody that's in North Carolina. Shout out to everybody that's in America. Shout out to people all around the world. But I'm on the land of North Carolina, in case anybody else is and wanted to connect and wanted to build something. All right, let me continue. But yeah, guys, we really got to build here. And we can build something successful. If we want a republic, we can build that here. We just have to do just like what these communities are doing. Me and my wife was talking about this earlier. Why is it that the LGBT blah, 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 blah is so powerful? It's because when and I'm using this the best of my ability, was when good people don't say anything, bad things can happen. Not saying that those people are good or bad, but if there's nobody to fight against it, they're going to have success. I see different organizations, not saying that they are bullies, but it can be used, the same tactics. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, if nobody comes against the bully, if nobody is willing to stand up to the bully is going to bully as many people as they can. Or if there's no business to stand up against this corporation is going to be the only one. It's going to seem like a monopoly because nobody else is creating businesses. It just is what it is. Are you creating organizations for whatever purpose? But I digress. I'm going to continue. David Button. Hopefully pronounced that correctly. David Button is saying I smashed that like button for you. Thank you for all the likes, all the follows, subscriptions, or whatever you guys are giving me, and shares. It is greatly appreciated. Much love to all of you. Jermaine says Biden is very weak, and that's dangerous. Yes, guys, it is very dangerous to have a weak person as the forefront or our representative. I think with this whole administration, ever since he got into office, it's been about trying to get as many people that were seen back in maybe like 10 to 15 years ago that was frowned upon. What they're trying to do is to get as many of them in office. So whether it be obese people, they're trying to get as many obese people into those different powerful positions to make law or to make policy. People who are obese, people who have some type of, and now please listen to it, a retardation. Now, retardation by definition is someone who is not developed. I'm not trying to be funny or use that as an insult. I'm saying that as the actual term. someone who has some type of mental decline, they're putting them into office. And that can be seen with Biden and with Kamala. And with a lot of other people. You have the health administrator who is actually a transsexual. You have mayors, you have all these different people who are gay, who are all these different things, and I think they're being put into power so that it can be normalized. But I digress on that. I just find that there's a lot of dangerous ideologies that's being put out there that's not being actually spoke about, but only way that it actually is being spoken about is by only one side. And if it isn't, or if it is the one side, like, we aren't actually combating it enough. Well, what do you guys think? Are we actually addressing it enough, or are we just sitting on social media? Let me know what you guys think. So I have an idea as far as what I'm going to be doing soon. I got some poster boards. I'm going to be walking around in my city with poster boards saying, and just like that, COVID is over. And on the other side is going to be like, let's go Brandon. And I'm going to walk around with that sign in my city. I might do it on live so you guys can follow. And so you can see the different conversations that I have with people. I'm going to be walking around the police station or in front of the police station, walking around gyms, going to see and interact with people in my city. And because I think that this is something that we need to do. We need to actually have some type of effect in our city. But I'm going to continue. Tom Bruntley said, yes, I am a Southern Baptist pastor. And it says a husband of one wife leading to God. Yep, he's referencing to, I think it's in 1st or 2nd Timothy or maybe Titus, where it talks about the office of a bishop or a deacon. All right. Yeah, Miss Help Me. So she was saying it's because Trump is a racist, and it's supposedly, even though Biden has been caught being racist. Guys, if you have seen any of my TikTok or if you follow me, you've seen Biden's stuff. I have at least like 8 different videos where he has said some racist or possibly racist things. And yet people be like, oh no, Trump, he was a racist. And then as soon as you ask these numbskulls, how is Trump a racist? They sit there, he said Mexicans are rapists. No. This is where our main issue is, guys. We'll take what mainstream media clips up. We can't take clips and come to a conclusion. We can't. It's just not smart. But we're taking clips and coming to a conclusion. And the issue is that creates is that we create a perspective. And they'll take that where they say that Trump was saying that Mexicans are rapists. No, he was saying that we have rapists coming across our borders. They just happen to be Mexican. And this is why he was putting up the wall and creating that border to make sure that anybody who comes in, they are properly checked. He never said that he wanted to keep everybody from coming in. He said, I want to make sure that if you are coming in, you're being checked out. But that's not what's going on in the border now. It's not. But I digress. Tom Bruntley saying, I'm not a Republican nor a Democrat. I'm a Christian with a heart. And I'm guessing that's what's right, is what he's saying. Yeah, I'm neither one. And if I get the opportunity to run for a public office, I'm not running for any of those. I'm just a man. I won't be subscribing to any party, whether it be independent, whether it be Democrat or Republican. I can't support any of those parties because what they do and what you'll see, like with the governor or the senator from Virginia. The Democratic Party was bashing him because he would not support. They needed his support. His and I think the senator from Arizona, if I'm not mistaken, they needed both their support in order to push this Green New Deal. that's being pushed. So with that issue of the like when they didn't support it, they got bashed in all the major media, saying that they don't want change. But why would they want that type of change, guys? Please explain to me, why would they want that type of change with the Green New Deal, especially if it's like that, if it's at the click of or a stroke of a pen? Because this is the issue that we're having with the economy now. We're having issues with our economy because they're trying to push by mandate or by executive order, whatever way they can. They're trying to push for this Green New Deal. Even though we say we don't want it, they're pushing. And we're seeing it come through little by little. But I digress. Let's continue to look at these comments. Tom Bruntley says, why is color a factor? As MLK said, it's the character of a person and not the color of their skin. And I definitely agree. It shouldn't be because of their color. Because one thing I've learned, guys, is that there's bad people in every race. Every race experiences crime. Every class of person experiences crime. It's just all different types. I agree. People do need to stop seeing color, and it sucks whenever people are so mesmerized by that, because then you create a deeper issue. There's a deeper issue that comes from focusing on color. And this is why we have to make better choices, because my people and people I would say in the lower echelon of class, like the lower class people, will vote for somebody who we're told to vote for. I was raised to be a Democrat. My parents were telling me that that's the best for us because this is what we vote for. This is who we are, who represent us. And I learned that back in Clinton's time. This is who we vote for. This is who, and we were chanting or heralding Clinton. Bill Clinton, according to us back in the day, was our first black president, or our first white black president, because he got caught getting a fellatio by Monica Lewinsky. Prove me wrong. That's what we were pushing. That's what we were saying. And I see that as asinine. How does that? I just have to breathe that one out because I feel like. But I digress. Let me go through more of the comments, see what people are saying. All right, Tom Bruntley said, "Is in Timothy the conversation of which scripture was it in?" Hold on, guys. We got. Let me see. All right, so I'm gonna try to wrap my head around this Bandia 420Q. Check this out, guys. Maybe, hopefully, you can decipher in the case anybody needs a better understanding what you mean, Bandia 420Q. But Bandia 420Q says, and I'm hoping, I think she's a woman. It's all an installed and inorganic. We are human, self-organizing collectives, and structured governments are an alien or inhuman idea. A system that is forced on society of very difficult perspectives and cultures that used to interact harmoniously and learn from each other without causing harm, but we are overtaken. Bandia, if you want, please come in to explain what you mean. This is the link to where you can fully explain what you mean by that. But guys, and I'm going to try to respond to that as best as I can. Yes, there's supposed to be a dividing factor within the different cultures within America. I think that was one of our best traits in America. We had these different cultures that were using the protections of the First Amendment. We were able to be who we were as a culture. But I guess with the different things that are being implemented, we create an issue of you have to push out certain parts of your beliefs. Like say like with proselytizing as far as Christianity, or going to help the poor, or going to do the different things of the Bible or the Quran or the whatever text that you subscribe to. Like we can't necessarily do everything within there. You can't go to a DMV and pass out Bibles anymore. You can't go out there and talk to people about the Bible. You can't even you can, unless you have a license or a permission slip to do it, you can't do it. And I think that's an infringes upon First Amendment rights. Let me know what you guys think. I could be wrong. But yes, I think I agree with Bandia's perspective, but only to a certain extent. Yes, government, the way we have it now, can be bad, but then again, the idea of government is not bad. Especially if you have proper leadership. It was Theodore Roosevelt who said, and I agree with this saying. Granted, Teddy, and you can agree with him or not, or you can agree with me or not. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But he said that it's going to be one or two different things. Either you will govern yourself, or you will be governed. And I see that as a true statement. And that's how it's supposed to be. If you can't effectively handle yourself, if you can't effectively check yourself, somebody needs to check you. But leave it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. I think that either you need to check yourself or somebody needs to check you, because otherwise there's going to always be issues. And issues create problems for the overall. And that's the reason why we have the government form that we do now. To be a checks and balances sort of thing. But in a Bandia, I agree and disagree at the same time. But to continue with the other comments, and again, guys, this conversation stemmed from the conversation of Mackenzie Jackson. Mackenzie Jackson, I don't think that she would be the right person to represent us overall. Let me know what you guys think, but I don't think that she would represent us. All right, I see Bandia in the background. I'm going to bring you up in just a second, Bandia. Don't leave. I'm going to read a few more comments, guys. Tom says you have to take it into context, not pick words to say as you want. I'm not sure what you mean. Please elaborate if you can. Trump never got paid for being president, so he donated his own money. Yes, I agree. I think I've heard that as well. President Trump, he didn't get paid to be president. He helped this government become a surplus all just because it's almost like a charity that he helped America. I just got a few more comments, Bandia, just a second. All right. Tom Bruntley saying, I grew up in Columbus, Ohio in the 70s. Most of my best friends were black. We cared for each other. We loved each other. I'm sick of the racism. Yeah, and I think really, guys, a lot of the racism is being pushed upon us. Rather than us, a lot of people being racist, they're pushing the idea of racism to the people. Saying, oh, these people are racist. Oh, they XYZ. We need to fight against this. Yeah, we do need to fight against racism. We do need to fight against XYZ, but it's not as prominent as what we're proposing or what we're pushing and saying that it is. But I digress on that, guys. We got a guest coming in. Bandia 428.
Hello, 420 and a Q.
420Q. Bandia 420Q. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Okay, so I think I just want to elaborate on what I said before. I think it's important to understand who it is that we're trying to fight against. Who is the enemy? Who's here telling us what to do? And it's not people, okay? It's not black, white, green, it doesn't matter. It's not people, okay? There's a foreign idea of a structure that is not that is not a fractal. That is more like a square or a cube, for example. A structured government, a designated design specialty and knowledge in anything, and that is not human. See, human is whole, like holistic, whole view. You could say Democrat or Republican, that is not a human idea. Okay. Human idea would be, let's say, betterment for those who don't have, enough, and then those who better are the ones who have more. That's just like a holistic view. And what is imposed on us is a system where everything is compartmentalized, divided into specialties, parts, and everybody knows their specialty, but nobody knows anything, really, like at all.
And I agree with that statement, but the part where I sort of don't agree, and feel free to elaborate. But say within the Bible community, you have the Israelites or the Hebrew people in the Bible. Let's say in the New Testament, what often happens in many different societies is they create cliques. Or they create these groups. In the Bible, there was the Sadducees and there was the Pharisees, and they were always clashing because of their different ideas or different opinions. And I think that's also it creates a division, and it's toxic to a country or to a nation or whatever a person might want to say. I agree that it does create a toxic, but it's something that has happened throughout history. It's something that should and may need to be fought against. But go ahead. What are you saying?
You're identifying it. I think that's exactly it. That's now you're looking into who is the enemy. Now, who's creating this division? Is it really the Sephardic or the Pharisees or these guys, or is there something else pushing? Like say, for example, just an example out there. A Democrat versus a Republican, or let's say Russia versus Ukraine. It is who is actually on the sides? The whole thing is to get us chasing our tails and fight each other. That's the specialty of this enemy.
And I would agree. Let me know what you guys think on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. I would agree. I think that there is something behind it. Excuse me?
Of course there is. Yes, there is something behind it. And it's not familiar. It's not our own. See, our own cultures where people say, let's say, we're sick of racism. I am too. I grew up in the 80s, and I was born in the 80s, but in the 90s and 2000s, I was in Brooklyn, New York, and I was teaching driver's ed in projects of Staten Island, and there was no black or white. If you said something stupid like that, you'd get punched in the face. I mean, you were the dummy to say something dumb about color because people got along. People are people. More, it was like rich or poor. That was really the division. We had money or we didn't. But
and that was also something. I'm not sure if you guys on TikTok can hear, but I definitely agree with that statement. I think more or less it's a class war and not a race war, because the issue, I did a live on, I don't know if I did a live or just did a video on the topic of affluenza. I'm not sure how many people have saw the video. I would say go check it out. But the discussion was on affluenza, and it was about a young man who got drunk. He was 16 years old. He's in Texas. You can look up the case if you want to. But he was 16 years old, and he was driving drunk. And also, I think he took Percocets or one of the narcotics as well. He did a hit and run on two different families, killing 4 people. He killed 4 people, and in all, around 9 people were injured. Even the people that was in his car were injured. Like one person was paralyzed by the accident. And what the judge subscribed is that he shouldn't go to jail. They said that he should actually have to. They said because of affluenza, that's the reason why he needs to go to a psych ward. Now, affluenza is when a person has such a privileged life that they can't be held accountable for their actions. Now, his parents were rich, and the judge, what was requested. Now, check it out, guys. I did this whole story on my YouTube page, Law Librarian Audiobooks and discussions on YouTube. But like he got off on this. And they gave him a few years probation, and then they sent him to the psych ward for a couple months. What his dad had suggested is that he goes to a psych ward in California, and his dad said he'll pay for it, and it was around $400,000 a year for him to go to this place where he could be pampered, where they could teach him culinary arts and teach him a list of other things while he was there to help him. The judge said that he didn't need to be around his parents because that environment was toxic for him. So he should go and be away from his parents. Now, in my opinion, and this is only my opinion, it's not legal advice, I figured the best place to send him, if it's not being with his parents for killing people, like manslaughter, is to be in prison.
I agree.
Send him to prison. That's away from his parents. But they suggested not to be sent to prison. So and it was because he was rich.
But that was a tactic, and that's the tactic of the enemy. It's to take two different classes, what color, whatever, and blame one for the other's situation. Okay, so basically, what he created, this judge, was, a whole confusing argument between people of class, right? Between people who believe in law, between people who had their children, let's say, break the law and go to jail, between people who had their children killed, and right there you have a fight, okay? And we're all and it's all fighting, but nobody's really paying attention to who caused it. And yes, okay, the kid is wrong and he should be in jail. I agree. And that's a different, I think that's a different conversation. But what the real problem is, why did that judge do that? Was it really because he really felt that way or she felt that way? Or is it because of other reasons?
And that's sorry to cut you off. I don't know if you guys can hear. Let me know if you can. But I think that's a main point as far as, like, let's say Mackenzie Jackson. These people are getting into office who have these type of ideals. Like they came in here and was like, oh, you know what? We shouldn't. They're pretty much soft on crime. They're pretty much saying, oh, you know what? They didn't mean to, or this was an accident, or maybe we can help them or fix this issue inside of them. But sorry to cut you off, Bendia, for the 20.
No, you're good. It's a conversation. I'm sorry. You're the one with time. I have plenty of time, but I'm just saying, look into the reasons behind the situations, right? And the thing is, what I've been finding is I'm translating a lot of Russian information into English because the communication between Americans and Russians is limited to those who are like immigrated, and I'm an immigrant, and I could tell you, even though, let's say, I don't see a lot of Q people, for example, I see a lot of awake people. And why? Because many have witnessed personal tragedies or viewed those people getting away who hurt them. But personally, they understand this, okay? And they dig into the reasons. And what they're finding is, and especially like if we go back to Sochi 2014 Olympics, if you look at the actual opening ceremonies, you talk about symbolism and the story. This presented our history, our stories presented from our point of view, finally. And that's what set off a lot of things like Maidan and all the situations that started coming down, came down really hard right after Sochi. And what it is that people of many places, everywhere around the world, it doesn't matter where at this point, are now seeing, hold on a minute, this is wrong, and this is not wrong for the reasons I thought. Just like racism. That's what they have here in America because we have many different, melting pot. And someone from New York, come on. But what it is that they're pinning people, white against black, and they're telling, white did that to the black, and black did this, and then blacks are doing this, and then this creates a distraction. These guys they're both they have the qualities of the highly intelligent light beings and the darkness of the dark. They're great.
And I definitely agree. I think it's all a distraction. Like, let's say as far as like racism, like we're really on top of racism now. Not saying me and you in this conversation, but this nation is really talking about racism a lot, as if it hasn't existed within the past 30 years. We're talking about police brutality a lot now, as if it hasn't been going on for many years now. We're talking about
Now you
fat.
have people in police brutality. You have the people with the power of a police doing certain things, and they have certain color when they do it. How do you think? Why do you think they do it? And we know, you and I both know. I'm white, right? Okay, and I know that I personally got targeted because I have a Q after my name, and I got targeted. I got thrown down on the floor. I really did because I have a sticker on my car. I got thrown on the floor, manhandled by a cop. That was insane. By the way, he was white. He didn't care about the color of my skin. He just went off on me and totally beat the crap out of me for doing nothing, like absolutely nothing. And I saw the madness in his eyes because he's controlled by these foreign influenced ideas and no longer is thinking like a human. He's more on an animal level. And that's the people that they put in power, in judges positions, in positions of cops, in positions of power control. And they do what they're told because, unlike human, they are biorobots, is what you could
And
call it.
and that's where we have to try to create the change. If we feel like we are the opposite, then we have to try to put ourselves or put someone in a position of power who can represent us, who can actually bring forth the change that we want to see.
How
Because
about this?
we
How
have
about
like,
this? In your community, where you live, do you know what changes you need? In your local block area, in your local 3 block area, do you know what you need? Because I don't know what you need, right? And I
yeah.
know what I need on my block, and I know what's going on in my town. But I have people in power in my town that have absolutely no desire to listen to what I want or need. Neither do they want to listen to anyone else other than the people that are on the board. And this is a small town. I live in 300 people town right now. Okay, I live
Well,
moved far away.
in
But
order
what
to
we're doing,
but to like get in, sorry to cut you off again, but like say like as far as being a politician or being in a representative capacity, like what it takes is it takes a selfless lifestyle, like not caring what people not caring if people care about what you want, but since you want to be a positive influence on your neighborhood, you care about what they want, even if they don't care
now
about
let's
what you want.
self-organize and collective. Watch what happens with a self, because now you're having people who think like you and I may not know what you need and you may not know what I need, but we know locally what the issues are. And what you're going to see, and this is a prediction based on a lot of research. I've been doing this for 30 years. What you're going to see is, and I'm sure you've seen this already being law, because I know where I found you, so I know what topics you're around. Okay, it's those
Yeah.
people, those minds that have been using the law books or your websites, or basically are now without interruption, without any pressures from the outside, are going to create these systems that organically need to form, not imposed on you, not imposed on us. And whatever that system would be, representative government, I don't know how it's going to look because I honestly don't believe in government, period. I believe in representation and equal in terms of voice when it comes to outside. But internally, there's people who have more information, more wiseness. And in my town, I know who that is. And those people know who to trust and who to not trust. So in my town, there may be, somebody whose word I will take over other because I know that person knows more or understands more. But in terms of like equally representing us, somewhere, let's not get into the woo topics, right? But
Yeah.
let's say elsewhere, okay, that will be, honestly, that will be a progression because we're far away from that. But the constitutional government, the monarchy, that's all foreign. That is not the way humans live. And
Yeah.
if
And
you're
well, that's
interested later, I'll show you some translations of what I have been finding, and this is incredible research that fits into what we've been finding in American and African studies.
well.
Basically,
Before you go there, let's discuss since you're just getting into this conversation now. Let's bring up the topic of what is your opinion of Biden protecting or fighting to protect Ukrainian borders, but not the American borders.
So I'm honestly telling you, and I'm going to tell you this because I just that you know how they call the show. They're doing and showing what actually happens to cause these conflicts. Like what happens? How do they cause these conflicts? I think that's a cause for conflict specifically done to do just that, not to do any other. I don't think there's any other intent in that. It's to inspire more harm, okay, between nations, between us and them, and between that's not fair. No, no, none of
Well,
that.
and I
Okay?
can agree
What I'm
because
telling you is that Biden,
you,
even if let's say I believe that he had power, and I do not, but if let's say he did, what we're seeing is the inhumane aspect of the situation come forward, the selfish, the one that lacks morality, okay, and the one that lacks love. Those are the people right now trying to blame each other, trying to put borders, not put rockets, not put rockets. This is all a show to show us what is human and what is not human of this war. And I'm talking about the real, actual morality, human, section of the conversation. It's where your morals would point. Would somebody thinking with morals and goodness ever suggest something to that effect? No, no, they wouldn't be involved in this because this is not the way nations actually interacted, even 200 years ago. As a matter
wait,
of fact,
wait.
close to 200 years
I don't
ago.
want you to hold on a second. Hold on. I want to make sure that everybody hears you clearly and
You
that
can
you're
hear me?
concise. Yes, yes. I'm just saying it in accordance to
But
what
that
you're saying.
human is not human. I'm
Huh?
sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I cut you off. I'm sorry. Go
All right. I
ahead.
was saying, what was your just if you can try to keep it short as far because some viewers may have a short of a short attention span. If you can
Yeah,
try
I'll
to
try.
shorten the response to what do you think about Biden protecting another country's borders and not
And not our
protecting
own. Why would you even? Why would you even want this person making any decision if he would do that decision? If he would even make a suggestion of that decision, this person
as
is
far
not
as
for
Biden?
us. Yeah, he's not for us. He's for others' ideas, not for the ones that represent ours. That's
Well,
it.
it's
Foreign.
that's the thing, and please, guys, leave it in the comments. Let us know what you think about what we're talking about. But as far as Biden and him, for me, I can say I don't want him to make these type of decisions, but this is the position that he has, and until we can find out to a proper way to relieve him of this position, this is what he's doing, and this is what I mean. Then you
So,
have
as a
the
person who
different
has a lot of
people
viewers,
who are
you're a
governors
person.
or senators within these different states. They're also allowing the government to or the federal government to dictate what goes on. Like you have Florida, they're not.
Hello, hello. Oh, we got. I don't know. I lost you. Hello, man. I lost you.